Hello there and welcome back to NA Turbo. So I just thought I'd do a bit of a fleet update on old Hannibal Supra. So on a rare day off work, I've actually been out giving him a bit of polish to sort of take some of the grime and detritus off the paintwork. So he does actually sort of look semi-smart from a distance. The problem with this paintwork is because it's just a solid flat paint and it's now, sort of 30 years old or so, it does tend to sort of leach in any grime or road detritus or, if you do anything on the engine and touch the paintwork, the oil sort of leaches into it. So it's actually quite a well painted, with thick layers of paint on it. I don't believe it's ever had a respray other than my bodgers, which you'll sort of see come from a rattle can on the sides where I've been trying to tackle the rust. But the main body of the car I don't believe has actually had any formal paintwork, so it is the original. It does come up with a slight shine. It's hard going when you do it, but you do sort of get quite a shine if you look, sort of a mirror shine in the car. I've just been using some Diamond Bright one cut just to sort of polish it back. It's actually not sponsoring me or anything. It was actually a suggestion I got off another YouTuber. They sponsored his channel for a little while, so I thought I'd give it a try, and it's actually really, really good at sort of cutting back, but not too far. Just sort of on that note, if you haven't checked out Furious Driving or Hub Nut or I Drive a Classic, do check those out, because they sort of gave me the I don't know, get up and go to sort of do something channel wise and sort of start it. And I sort of bombarded particularly Steph from I Drive a Classic with quite a few questions early on, and she was really, really nice at sort of replying and sort of having a look at some of the early videos, so do check them out. But yeah, so Hannibal is running okay. We still have a slight water issue, not from anything sort of hopefully anything sort of engine related. It's not the head gasket again. It looks like it's dripping coolant out of one of the pipes or gaskets around where the turbo is, which is a bugger because it's extremely hard to get to. And you can't actually see it dripping when it's running. It does sort of lose a bit, so I'm just topping it up at the moment, and I'm going to do a bit more investigation on that, and if not, sort of call in the mechanic friend Martin, who did the work on the cylinder head for me, just to have a look and see if he can sort of see anything else. There's no other sort of pipes leaking. It's not misfiring, so it's definitely not the head gasket. Again, we ran it in for sort of 600 plus miles. And everything's good on there. So yeah, it's just sort of a bit of an update on Hannibal. I've got some internal updates, so we'll hop in and show you in there in a second. So welcome back, and here we are inside Hannibal. So yeah, over, I don't know, the past sort of 10 years, it's had the same sort of stereo in there, and the speakers have always been sort of really tinny and rubbish, quite frankly. I'm somebody who does like music when I'm driving, so I thought it was time for an upgrade and an update. So if I pull you down here, I've upgraded to a Sony stereo with USB slot for an MP3 stick. It's also got DAB, and the aerial actually sort of hides just sort of up there, if you can see that. So that works really, really well. It's fairly cheap, sort of £120 off sort of a catalogue site. So I've popped that in there, which means I can get rid of all the CDs that were in there that, although period, are, take up masses of room in the glove box. If we just take it down, in here, you've got sort of masses of CDs sort of stacked everywhere. So this means I can MP3 them all and just stick them on the USB stick. It's also got Bluetooth in there, so I could run audio through the phone if I wanted. But main thing, it means it's then got hands-free as well, so I can run that through there. So that was sort of stage one, because the Panasonic stereo that was in it was just a CD player. I've had it so long I forget even where I got it from, possibly eBay, and I say that was sort of over 10 years ago now, so quite a while. So Also, we've sort of upgraded the speakers, which you won't see, but they're sort of hiding behind these sort of vents here and speaker grills. So I had actually from Ronaldo the Corrado, who's just over there, two sort of front speakers after I upgraded his that were spare, because the Corrado actually had a Nokia system in it originally, because it had a Nokia car kit back in the day, but the tweeters that actually sit on the front of the dashboard in there were in a different casing, so it meant that I couldn't fit them when I upgraded the door speakers and the rear shelf speakers, and I didn't want to rip the dashboard apart, but they're actually all right. So in terms of sound, they're fine. So I've upgraded this one in this door and that one in that door there. So far there is some sort of rear shelf speakers, if I spin you around, that just hide behind the rear seat belt anchorage over there, but that involves sort of taking out all the boot plastic, so I haven't actually done those yet. But sort of these front ones were so knackered, it was unbelievable. I'll put in a little still if I can of what they actually looked like. They weren't the originals, but I think they were an upgrade of about 10-15 years ago, and basically all the cone had gone and the rubber that surrounds it, so it's no wonder it sounded awful really. But you'll see that if I can put in the inlay of that on the actual video. So yeah, Hannibal's, other than the slight water leak, is all right. There's obviously bodywork jobs that I'm putting off until I can do them majorly, which is the rear quarters. Sort of interior wise, there's nothing really else to do. For some reason, this sort of passenger window won't go down from this bank of switches here. I sort of did take them out when we had the door speakers out, because you have to replace take out all the door cards in order to get to the speaker that's behind there. And so this sort of switch from here wasn't working for some reason. Couldn't see any obvious reason why, so put it back together and it did start moving it slightly, so I suspect there's something iffy on the actual switch pack in there. I have got a spare one, so if I can find it during the garage tidy up, it seems to have disappeared. So that's one thing that I need to sort of get round. You can still open it from the passenger side over there, but it just means you can't operate it from the switch pack here, which is quite annoying. So that's something to do. The other thing, sort of since the engine rebuild, the cruise control seems to have gone a bit iffy. That's based on some various vacuum pipes under the bonnet, so it seems to sometimes work, sometimes not. So I've got to do a bit of investigation on that with my brother at some point, and I hope we can sort of figure out what's going on there, whether it's just a vacuum pipe's come off or is not back in the right place. So that's it, I think. Otherwise, electronics, everything's running good. The only other thing is, you saw the videos earlier in the year where we got the aircon working again. So when we got it back working, the compressor hadn't been used for 20 years. Naturally, seals dry out in it and things. And so the seal on the actual compressor itself has gone, and you could see when you had the aircon on that little bubbles of gas were sort of coming out of the casing. So it would be possible that it had sort of crimped together with use, but we tried that. The gas has now sort of escaped out of it, so I don't think that sealed it. But on the good front is, surprisingly, those compressors you can actually buy from a company called Rock Auto that are based in the States, that do a lot of parts for Mark III Supras. I got sort of the rest of the air conditioning under the bonnet from them. I also got sort of various engine bits, injector seals, things like that from them as well. And they actually do an OEM new pump that you can buy and get sent over for something like £250. So over the next couple of months I shall sort of save up for that and then get that for when the weather turns nicer again. Because it proved our theory. You know, we did sort of regas it with the generic gas you can buy from Halfords after using the Schrader valves to convert the dissimilar couplings. And yeah, it worked perfectly. It was ice cold, So I definitely, now we've proved the fact, and we've changed the receiver dryer and the aircon radiator as well. I definitely want to get that back up and running, so I shall be investing in one of those and getting it sent over from the States, and sort of bug my brother to help me fit it. I don't think it's a too fiddly job, to be honest, but it would just be really nice to have probably one of the only Mark III Supras in the UK with working aircon, because let's face it, you know, older cars are brilliant, but when it comes to the summer, and when you've got luscious leather seats like we have here, it can get a tad warm. So, you know, just for drivability and usability factor, it would be nice to sort of have that back on. So yeah, I shall sign off in a moment. I'll just leave you with old Hannibal's mileage. Now we've done sort of some more running in. If you could see that, apologies for the shadow of my camera there, but yeah, he's on 176,000 miles now, and yeah, the engine is just brilliant. So you'll probably see more Hannibal the Supra fiddling, because I do want to stop that water leak. It's my mission, come what may, that this car will stop using water, and will hopefully be back to reliable again. But you know, this car in total's probably been off the road, you know, 15, 16, 17 years out of its life, which, despite what people think isn't good for cars, you know, just parking them up and leaving them is not good, even if you can sort of use them minimally, but just use them so everything's working. It's much better for them than just leaving them sitting and parked up. Hannibal will never be perfect, because, you know, he's a car that I use, so he's never going to be a show king or a show winner. But I honestly, this may cause some controversy on the internet, but I don't believe in having cars as showpieces. I like to use them, which is hence, you know, both myself and my brother buy cars, but they're not always in the best fettle bodywork wise, because they get used. But that's where the pleasure comes from us. So I think I've waffled at you long enough for now, so I shall leave you with a lovely picture there of Hannibal's steering wheel boss. So I shall say take care, stay safe, and speak to everybody soon. Bye bye.